Yeah, me too. It's 55 and sunny, not where I fish 50 and nothing wrong.
40, right?
I'm not sure I do 40 anymore, as I have grown older.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. We're starting. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm that no matter who you are, no matter who you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we're so glad you're with us. If you are visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitors' books. And if you would like to join us for coffee hour, feel free to take a green mug because we'd like to greet you. If you want to be greeted, we hope you do. Also, members and friends, help folks connect. Please wear your name tags with pronoun stickers. And if you need a new name tag, see a reader or somebody. I'm Tony Metters. I'm an African American man. My pronouns are he, him. I'm pleased to be with you today as worship associate. And we recognize that individuals of all ages and abilities have different needs during the service, and there are items on a blanket. So if you need to move, fidget, please feel free to get up and move around. May each of you know you are welcome in this place of peace, and may our worship and fellowship this morning touch your heart, mind, and spirit.
Thank you, Tony. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It is good to be with you on this beautiful, cool, lovely day. Someone asked, is it too cool to be outside? And I'm like, no, it's wonderful. As you feel your feet on the earth, it's a reminder that we here in the western suburbs inhabit areas that are the traditional territory of indigenous peoples. As people trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the history of legacy and colonialism, the harm done to Native peoples, and to do what we can to repair that harm. I forgot to say who I was. I'm the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. My pronouns are she, they. I'm a short white woman, I know, with long red hair and glasses and a white jacket. So we do this as a way of being inclusive and recognizing that people have varying abilities. And so this is a way for us to be accessible. I invite you into worship this morning, which is a reprise of courage. I will say that when I was meeting with the music team and thinking about what to bring with us today, Jamie said courage. Julia agreed, because we need courage in these times. You may remember that back in February, we had a service where we crowdsourced courage, and we didn't get to everything that folks said. So we're gonna have a conversation in the conversation circle about courage. These are words by Tess Bomberger. Love that liberates us all. Today we thank you for our fears. For what we fear is the destruction of what we value. Justice and the equitable treatment of all. Pluralism and affirmations of interdependence. Care for our earth. Generosity of heart. Transformation of our spirits in the world. Thank you that we are afraid, because it shows what we value. If the cost of safety is forsaking our values, if the cost of safety is forsaking our values, may we continue to be afraid. May we lean into our fears and show up for our values despite them. May we take comfort in one another. May we take time to rest, to laugh, to dance. May we find beauty in a troubled world. May we feel and live the love which liberates us all. It is good to be together. Our opening song is Gathered Here, and Dennis is going to play it through. And as we gather to sing this song, we all know spirit, or the spirit of life, in different ways and by different names. But as we gather in this very beautiful place, this conversation circle, where we enter into community because we know that together we're more than we would ever be alone, we also know that we are not alone in our gathering, that the spirit of life and the spirit of love, the spirit of justice moves in and through us. So we're gathering here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Do you all remember that song? Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
One more time.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
Beautiful.
Chalice Lighting Words by Michael Luffson. This little flame reminds us that even in the darkest darkness, we can create illumination. It may just be a lonely little flame, but when we hold it out against the darkness, we can see a little way behind us where we have come from, and we can see a little way before us in each direction. And with our little flame of hope illuminating just enough, we may step, but the candle is not alone. It stands beside all the candles we have ignited. It stands beside all the candles that have been lit in churches and homes, in the streets and in vigils. With every step, we bring the candles closer. With each new candle, the light grows brighter. And just beyond the halo's edge, we can just make out the streams and tributaries of stepping candles flowing into an ocean of light, illuminating a way forward to the world we are all working for. There's always a lot going on around the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday. And there are printed copies available inside. And if you would like to receive News and Notes, please see one of the greeters. Many of us came to this church and Unitarian Universalism generally, in part because we believe questions speak to our spirit, because we believe we can find strength in uncertainty, because we can celebrate beauty in imperfection, because we find affirmation in service, because we recognize that What we do matters. What we say makes an impact. How we move and work in the world resonates throughout the fragile, resilient web of life. Our financial contributions to this congregation help us to live our values here and in the wider world. Now let there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we thereby write the story of love and hope. Please join us in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us.
This church is
Made up of all of us.
It is what we learn together,
It is what we learn together,
the work we do together,
the work we do together,
the fun we have together.
the fun we have together.
It is what we share with one another,
It is what we share with one another,
with people around us,
with people around us,
and with the world.
and with all the world. Yeah, almost there. Okay, there
A little breezy.
we go. Just a little.
Blowing in the wind months.
Yes.
Their way.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you so much. You know, watching the collection plate go around and seeing that you had to kind of hold your hand on it so the didn't fly away. And I was just imagining that it's our gifts flying away into the world. It's a nice image to imagine that what we do actually does make a difference in the world that we live in. So, how are you doing? All things considered.
All things
All
considered.
things considered. Kind of like this. We have our celebrations, we have our sorrows, we have our oh my God, really. So I just want to invite you to just be with what is, what you bring with you today. And here we are on this beautiful property in this beautiful earth, feeling the breeze, the sun, hearing the insects along with the train, the intersection of civilization, so-called, and the ancientness of the insects who sing to us night and day. So I invite you to just breathe with me, if that's comfortable for you. Just take a breath. And release. I invite you to do that again. Just take a breath. Feel your body on the chair, on the brick, your feet on the earth. Remembering your connection with the earth, with the air, with fire, with water. All of the elements that make up who we are, including the stardust from which we have come. My beloved teacher, the late Joanna Macy, used to say, "You are billions of years old, so act your age." I say claim your age, the ancient wisdom. that moves through you. And sometimes we need to be quiet to hear it. Amidst all of the noise, and I don't just mean trains, and I don't just mean the voices in our heads, I mean the voices near and far that call to us in their agony, in their hope, in their courage. I invite you to just be with what is for this moment, and invite you to feel your feet on the earth and imagine that you're bringing up healing, warm energy from Mother Earth, source of all. And just bring that energy up through your feet, your legs, your torso, your pelvis, your torso. Breathing it in and up through your whole body, down your arms, your neck, to your head. And imagine like one of these trees that you have branches that extend right out your head. And imagine that those branches are reaching out, up, up to the source of life, to our sun, to the cosmos. And invite you to bring that ancient wisdom into your body and breathe up the earth wisdom that teaches us absolutely everything we need to know about how to live. And feel those two merge and meet in your body. A remembrance of who and whose you are and from whence you came. Breathe in and release. I invite you to go ahead, if it's comfortable for you, put your hand on your thigh or your leg, someplace where you can touch yourself. Breathing in again and feeling the connection that you have. If it has brought you a sense of comfort and groundedness, go ahead and just tap your leg 3 times. And breathe. And what I invite you to do as you move through your days, and you feel yourself caught in all of what the world is swirling around us as is perfectly normal, and you want to remember your connection, breathe, feel your feet on the earth, and just simply tap your leg. You can do that anywhere. Someone doesn't need to know what you're doing. And it's a reminder to you of this moment in time. You are gathered in community, grounded in the earth, connected to that which is above. And bring yourself back into your center and carry that with you. I invite us into our meditation on breathing. We'll start with the drone, and then we'll go ahead and bring in the melody. The drone is breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Join me in the melody. I breathe in, I breathe in peace, I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe We've set aside time to acknowledge the joys and sorrows that we may have among us. And to keep everyone safe on this beautiful ground, just going to invite you to call out your joy or sorrow. And we have our beautiful sparkly petals today. And as you share, we'll just go ahead and drop that into our beautiful shell. I love that we have water here, right? We've got earth and air, fire, the sun, and our shell brings us water. So if you have a joy or a sorrow, I invite you to just call that out, and we'll go ahead and repeat that.
I've got Anna is home for a few days, so I've got my family together for the first time in a while.
Anna is home for a few days, and Susan has her family together for the first time in a while. Yes, Kathy.
I have a beautiful great-grandson. He's my joy. My sorrow is that my friend is sinking farther and farther into dementia.
Kathy is celebrating her beautiful grandson and
Great-grandson.
great-grandson, great-grandson, makes him very great, and the sorrow of a friend with dementia. Yes. Sandy.
Fostering two beautiful kitties.
Fostering two beautiful kitties
Oh,
who
lovely.
I want to steal.
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
Yes.
A joy for a new school year. I'll be teaching 6th grade. And sorrow for my sister's partner who is healing from a brain aneurysm.
Oh,
Joy for a new year of teaching school, and sorrow for his partner who has recovering from a brain aneurysm, her sister's partner. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi.
Joy in having a friend and then my daughter help me celebrate my birthday.
Okay, in spring, Gail says in spring, her daughter came to celebrate her birthday. And a friend. Woohoo! Happy birthday. Yes.
I have a joy that I was able to attend Megan and Darren's mother-in-law's end of summer picnic at their home, and to mingle with many of the members of this church that were there, some members, and having a really comfortable, warm feeling of being home. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed being there. Thank you.
Did everyone hear that? Yes, I'm going to repeat it for the folks on YouTube. Just a family picnic, a church picnic that brings a sense of warmth and a feeling of home. Yes. Anyone else? I invite you to just take a breath with me. For all who are suffering near and far, for the people of Ukraine, all the genocides, including the genocide in Gaza, which is claiming more and more lives. I invite you to join me in a moment of silent reflection. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Holy One moving in, through, and among us. We feel you in the breeze, in the earth beneath our feet, in the sighs of our neighbor, in the longing in our hearts, in the hope that we hold, in all of it, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, you are with us. May we remember who and whose we are, that we may live with courage, with hope, holding one another close and holding the world close to us as well. And you, each of you, remember this. You are always and everywhere, held in love and mystery, deeper than we can know. Want to take a seat, Tony? Let's have a conversation. So I mentioned at the beginning of our service that we had had some conversation during our pledge drive when we crowdsourced 3 values that come directly out of our mission and our covenant. Does anyone remember what they are? Okay, louder.
Courage, compassion, and another C word that I don't remember.
Courage, compassion,
Commitment?
committed. Exactly. That we are courageous, compassionate, and committed. And it was a rich exploration with all of you as we thought together about these values. And again, as I said, as I was talking to Julie and Jeannie, we decided that we needed to revisit courage. So thanks for the inspiration, Julian. Thank you. I appreciate it. A reminder that courage comes from the Latin word cor, which means heart. The word courage originally meant to speak one's mind by telling all of one's heart. Today we see it as heroics, but there is also a quiet courage as well. And that really came out as I was reviewing the cards that you all filled out. So for those of you who weren't here, in each of these 3 services, which were about 2 weeks apart, I crowdsourced outside of the congregation just to prime the pump a little bit on each of those words. And we crowdsourced in the service on courage. And folks filled out cards describing what courage meant to you. And you did that with compassionate, and you did that with courageous as well. So in thinking about it, I still would love to do some sort of art project with these cards to capture them, because I keep them on my desk and I look at them frequently. They're in each of their stacks, and I take the rubber band off and I leaf through them, and I'm struck by the aspirations of this congregation, by the heart, speaking of courage, heart, by the desire, and by the articulation of what our values are. So some crowdsourcing that I did was courage looks like breathing instead of panicking, rooting and grounding instead of flitting, studying and learning instead of quitting, strategizing instead of reacting, drawing the circle wider instead of insulating. Courage looks like meeting the moment with an open heart, healing in the face of destruction, choosing gentleness in the face of cruelty, speaking truth, protecting the vulnerable. Courage is finding community and work together in goodwill with those who don't perhaps share all of our beliefs. Attending a Palestinian film festival this weekend, meeting this moment with an open heart, choosing healing in the face of destruction, choosing gentleness in the face of cruelty, speaking truth, protecting the vulnerable. Courage is sitting with tender and scary emotions, demonstrations, people learning, standing openly against fascists who will retaliate if they can, dissenting, getting out of bed each day and not giving in to despair. So as I looked at the cards and kind of categorized what I heard you say initially about what it means to be courageous and what it means to be courageous in this beautiful and broken world. Tony, I'm going to invite you to hold the mic for me. And, okay, yeah, just this cards. They're almost like oracles. Does everybody know what an oracle card is? Raise your hand if you do. An oracle card, they're oracle cards that people use to discern, to get an inspiration. And it can be, you know, an animal, it could be, give some examples of oracle cards. Anyway, they kind of point the way. They're beacons. And that's what these felt like as I was looking at them. The way that we think of courage so often is courage is being brave. And that's what someone wrote. There was like personal courage, ways that people talked about courage that was more personal, and then the other outward kinds of things. But before we get to the cards, Tony, what do you consider courage to be? How would you define courage?
After you read your definition, which was very inspiring, that I immediately thought about people speaking from the heart, as per the civil rights struggle, and the various, some of the folks who did that in different ways. Dr. King, who was courageous, and he was so in a very articulate manner. I thought of Rosa Parks, who was courageous in a more quiet fashion, all of them with dignity. And a third one I thought of was just grassroots courage from Fannie Lou Hamer, when she spoke at, it was the, I believe, the convention. Those are very courageous people, and from whom I draw inspiration. They give me courage to speak up. I think that we're all courageous in some way. I think there's a threshold. You have to get to the point where you're ready to act in some fashion, and that's what those folks did.
Thank you so much, Tony. And that kind of courage, to speak up, to speak out, you articulated that in these cards. And at the time of the service, I didn't get it. They told me to speak right into the mic. At the time of the service, I couldn't read every one of your cards, and I was inspired by them. So I'm going to read what you came up with on that day. Courage is knowing an action may cost a personal loss, but doing it anyway because it's the right thing to do. And that's exactly what you talked about. I'm thinking in that regard too about James Reeb, the Unitarian Universalist minister who was martyred, Viola Luisi, who was also a Unitarian Universalist who was murdered. Courage is standing up for one's beliefs, especially in the face of opposition. Maybe you'll recognize yourself in these. Doing the right thing in the face of fear and danger. So courage isn't about not being afraid. Courage means standing up and voicing what I believe, even when it is unpopular. Courage is making your personal beliefs and stands clear to others. The ability to speak up for what you believe. So when I read this, the ability. So do you think it takes practice to have courage?
Mm-hmm.
Some people do. Do you think so?
It takes some practice, and I think you have to be brought to a point where, you know, you just have to say, this is it. I'm not going to let this continue without speaking or acting.
So it's something that you create as an ability to be able to do that. And do you think it makes you more courageous when you see someone else do it?
It definitely gives me courage when I see other people being courageous.
It does me too. How about y'all? Yeah? Yeah. Speaking up for what you believe, what you believe in, whether or not it is popular. And so that speaks to your example and the ways that people are speaking up in our country and around the world right now. Yeah. Anything you want to say about that?
Let's see that again. Speaking up for what you believe in, whether it is popular or not. Yeah, I like that. I think about our LGBTQ folks who have the courage to come out, and just say, this is who I am, and I'm going to be who I'm going to be.
Exactly. Thank you for that. To be bold for something you believe in. So there is a sense of being bold. That courage can be seen as boldness, right? That you're going to be, say it no.
It's someone leading the way even if they don't want to lead the way. And then in response, often others follow.
Yep. Thank you for that. Standing up for something. So this set of cards were about standing up, doing something. And then folks said, and this is like all caps with an exclamation point, speak up. Speak up. Courage means speaking truth to power. Speaking in public. So there's a sense in which it's what you do, but it's also making what you believe and what you need to witness to also verbalizing that and using words to say it, even when those words may cause you to be vilified, may cause you to be called out, may cause you to be threatened for speaking your truth, even when it's unpopular.
Right.
Yeah. There's another aspect that really came through, and I thought this was, as I kind of parsed these as we were looking at them, courage is when you're afraid of something and you face it anyway. So there's a personal aspect. So there's the public, the speaking out against injustice, which is important, and that's a kind of courage that we embody. I mean, you all do because I have cards to prove it. And there's also I found that there was some personal aspect, some places where we need to be courageous in our personal lives. When you're afraid of something and you face it anyway. Has anybody ever had that? Yeah.
Did you get that feeling in your stomach and all those physical things that come before being courageous?
Yeah, our bodies tell us things, don't they? Yeah, like the knot in your stomach, right?
Are you sure you want to do that?
I think I'm going to do it anyway. And it may be, what are some examples of you're afraid of something and you face it anyway? Can you think of any examples? If you want to call them out, we'll call them in. Making friends.
Making friends.
Yep.
Performing.
About making friends. For those of us who are introverts, like walking into a crowd and you don't have a role. And then like reaching out and trying to get to know someone, you take a risk. And it's about being vulnerable too, as is performing. And Any other, here's another courage to me is forging ahead in spite of my fears. Very similar thing. Another person said act in spite of fear. Yep. I loved that there was this inner and outer expression of courage. Accepting fear and moving through it. Standing up for your values even when you're afraid. Courage means being terrified and doing it anyway. So I mean, the person used the word terrified. I don't know if that person is here.
Who can relate to that?
You know, it's the thing that pushes you beyond what you thought you could do. And then you find that you're able to do it. Making brave choices. What are some brave choices that you've made? Y'all, or you, Tony, first.
Darren,
I'm sharing.
after him, and then I'll tell you mine.
I'm sharing from you two. Courage is when using my faith in the scariest times of life.
Courage
is using my faith.
Using my
when
faith
using
in
my
the
faith
scariest
in the
times of
scariest
life.
Okay, beautiful. Anyone else online, Darren?
That's it.
Thank you.
I think mine was joining the military. It's like,
Yeah.
but I did it. You know, we often, as you know, when Beth started, it was like we think of heroes. You know, often it's military folks come to mind. Not just military. I mean, police, firefighters, physically putting your life on the line. But that's just one aspect of it, and I think that type of courage is around a specific purpose. But we talked about some other courage that are just as important in different areas of civil rights, for example, which I mentioned specifically. People are, there's some courageous folks out there acting on behalf of the planet and justice. So that's what came to mind.
Thanks for that. Courage means acting consistent with my values even when it's hard. And that's when you find that perhaps there are people who are silent about things that you see happening. Might be a neighbor, someone that you know, and then being able to know that in your deepest moral values that this is what you're called to do. So it's a courage that comes from knowing what your values are and living from them, even when people will, as I said earlier, vilify you, threaten you. Yeah. Again, someone else doing the right thing even when it's hard. Standing up for what is right even when other people don't believe it. We see that in our country right now, right? The brave people in the streets in Los Angeles and San Diego and DC. Standing up for all people regardless of their race, income, or status. Doing what's right even when it's not popular. Knowing what is right and what is wrong and standing up for what is morally right. So you all, as you considered what courage means, what comes out of this for me is just the sense of there's a certain amount of dedication that it takes in order to be able to live this. To not be intimidated. To not be cowed. And to know that you're also not alone.
Every effort that we take to be courageous, whether it's great or small, it affirms who we are. And I think after you do it the first time, it becomes easier to be courageous the second, third, and on and on.
Yeah, I agree. Do people agree with that? That it's almost like a muscle that you work? your courage muscle. And there are sometimes courage is not following the crowd. And courage doesn't have to be these big acts.
I think it's sometimes courageous to lead the crowd.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. There were a number of you who verbalized courage as something that's more personal, and we'll get into that. Live by your convictions, being true to your values, being able to face anything, similar to what we read before, but being able to face things and know that you're going to be stretched by it. The ability to face life regardless of what it brings. That's a different kind of courage, isn't it?
Yes. I was thinking about, in my current time, and Beth and I talked about this, I've come across a lot of caregivers, and they're very courageous in dealing with families. And then I thought further about it. My family has a lot of folks who went into healthcare, and think about a nurse drawing a line with a doctor. No, I'm not going to do that. That's courageous.
Thank you. Again, another one of you being afraid of doing something and doing it still. And then we have some advice. This is an advice card. I like that it's a white card. I do not, yeah, there are a couple of white cards in here, but this is the advice. Take a breath, just do it. So this is how we move with courage. Thank you. Does anyone remember writing this? I know we don't have a full complement of folks, but I would love to talk to the person who wrote this. Again, doing whatever you need to do, even when it's hard. Again, doing what you're afraid of. Sometimes it's just putting one foot in front of the other. And we would say in 12-step recovery, put one foot in front of the other and do the next indicated thing. And that can be courageous, and it doesn't feel like a big thing. And I think that's one of the things that came to me as I was reading the cards. I kind of sounded like I was a tarot reader, didn't I? Yeah. Well, kind of maybe I am. Maybe we can turn this into some sort of a deck. I need some creative people to help me do this. What one foot in front of the other. And that's not a big thing that anyone would notice. It's taking those little risks. It's putting yourself out there. It's trying that hard thing. And it doesn't mean that you have to do it with a big splash, but it's just one foot in front of the other. Courage is going the first step, even when you don't see where the staircase goes. Going the first step, even when you don't see where the staircase goes. All right. Do you want to say something about that?
I was actually at the dentist, and they had it on the wall, and I thought, is this before the campaign?
Oh, it was on the wall at a dentist.
Can you repeat that?
Before or after they pay the bill.
Yeah.
They no longer have it on the wall. I'm just going to...
So a humorous receiving of it, but that seems pretty profound, right? I mean, I know I'm terrified when I'm at the dentist, so that's just another thing.
Breathe and just do it.
Pardon?
Breathe and just do it. I didn't write that.
Breathe and just do it. But we might not know where the staircase goes, but we know that we have to take those steps. Courage is forgiveness without regrets. What might it mean to to have forgiveness without regrets. Do you have thoughts on that?
I can only think of victims who forgive the person who caused them pain, even though that pain was tremendous.
Yeah.
And I'll add to that, when you don't know whether they're going to do it to you again.
When you don't know if they're going to do it to you again. Yeah, Sandy.
So I took a picture of it. Faith is taking the first step, even though you don't see the whole staircase, and that was Martha.
Who?
Oh,
Martin Luther
MLK.
King.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, this whole forgiveness thing is, do you think it takes courage to forgive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that we have to forgive everything and everybody?
No.
No. Okay. Can you imagine what it means to forgive without regrets? I thought about this as in two ways: forgiving others and then just letting go because you made the decision to forgive. And forgiveness should always come with good boundaries, because if they're a person who could do it to us again, then we want them out of our lives, and whether you choose to forgive or not. But I also read this, and I'm not sure if this is what the person thought: to forgive yourself without regrets.
Oh, that's harder.
Hmm?
I think that's a lot harder, actually.
It's a lot harder.
We're always harder on ourselves than other people.
Yes, we're harder on ourselves than we are to other people. And we not only judge ourselves, but we live with a sense of sometimes the forgiveness means we will let go of regret. And that's the way that we can forgive ourselves for things that we think that we did or allowed that seem like impossible to let go of. And I was struck by this. Go ahead.
That self-forgiveness is a staple of my wife's vocabulary. I can't tell you how many times she says, "I've already forgiven myself."
And so Peg's going to teach a class. Because I really do think that forgiving oneself is really a difficult thing to do. Because we can't fix it sometimes. We maybe caused harm and can't repair it. And that's when it's difficult too. So thanks for modeling that, Peg. Anyone else on that? Yeah, Patty. Oh, Dennis.
Oh,
I'm not exactly, but let me say, today is the 12th of 11. And that reminded me of the first thing I read when I was in 99. It says, the joy is not in trust in the winning, but in the courage and the grace.
Oh, go ahead and repeat that.
Okay, he was talking about today is the Chicago Triathlon, and I don't know if anyone's ever done those. Not easy. The joy is, I'm going to read it.
The joy is not just in the winning,
The joy is not just in winning, the joy is in the courage to join the race.
Yeah, I really like that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Courage means getting out of our comfort zone to continue to grow. These are very personal ways that we embody courage in our lives. Courage. 3 words this person wrote: unselfish, strength, and hope. Kathy.
back to the issue of forgiving oneself.
Oh, yes.
I once was having a discussion with a Catholic friend about doing something that was risky. And I said, my problem is I don't have the sacrament of confession. And therefore, nobody can give me absolution except myself, and I am very harsh on myself.
So Yeah, so Kathy said that she was speaking to a Catholic friend and said that when she does something, that she doesn't have the sacrament of confession in order to get absolution, and that has to come from oneself. Yeah, there is something when you're doing that sacrament with consciousness, not as like a little girl. I go, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. My last confession was last week, and I yelled at my grandma. Versus when I returned for a short time as an adult and knew the idea of being forgiven by love. You know, as you know, if you're a theist, you're being forgiven by God, or know that there is a love that is holding you, and that there's a love that holds you even in your imperfection, and that can lead to the capacity to forgive oneself. Yeah. So unselfish, strength, and hope. Courage is being unselfish. Do you think that's true?
Yes, I think that's true. Again, I'm fortunate to be married to Peggy, and she is unselfish, totally.
And you see that. And it's strength. Courage is strength. We talked about the ways that it's strength. And hope. And I think it does take courage to hope. I think it takes the ability to imagine possibilities beyond that which we can see. Someone to not wallow in negative emotions, but to keep doing what I do best.
That's good, because it's doing the former can just take you deeper into a bad place.
Yep. Courage is the ability to remain true to who you are and to hold on to the things that are important to you, regardless of what challenges life throws at you. Courage is taking care of my needs before others, looking into my heart and checking in on things that work for me while being respectful of others. Is that a way you've ever thought about courage? I really appreciated this person's articulation of it. It's, it's being boundary in some ways. Yeah.
I go to this meditation class with the wellness house, and we always do this mindfulness exercise where we're putting out good wishes, and we always start with ourselves, because the teacher always says you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yes.
So you have to do it first, be good to yourself, and then you be good to the world around you.
Thank you for that. For those online, Aileen was saying that she goes to a meditation class, and the teacher, the instructor, does metta meditation, which is a loving kindness meditation where you give out loving kindness to others. But in that meditation, you do always start with yourself, but you can't pour from an empty cup. Courage is to know my limits. So, right?
Yeah. Never thought of it that way.
I know. I just was struck as, we pulled this together and thinking, to know your limits means to say no, to have boundaries. And that kind of takes courage, especially if there's expectations that people have of you, and you know that saying no, or I cannot do this thing, it does take courage. So these were the personal ones. And I've got a couple more that I wanted to, this is the one I'm going to close with. There are a couple that were specific, and I loved them. And I think I read at least one of them. I'm being courageous by living my life as a queer person, by loving everyone, even those that may not love me, by being open about who and what I am, even in front of those who would silence me. Someone said, my life. Someone else said, courage is putting a pro-immigrant bumper sticker on my car, responding to hateful language with my words in the moment by stating what I believe and protesting in marches. Someone else said, courage is love. This is just, saying what is right and true, living out kindness, courage, love. Courage, love. And then, don't be afraid to love. Sometimes it can take courage to allow ourselves to be loved. And that goes to vulnerability, being fully who we are, knowing who we are, and living out of that authenticity. And there's one more for us to close with, although I'd like to hear, before we close with this one, are there any others that you would like to share? We good?
I remember years ago when we joined this church, it seemed small, but I was a little worried because I grew up in a Methodist family. I didn't know how everybody was going to think of Unitarian. But we did it anyway, and I never regretted it.
Julie was expressing that when she first came to this church, she did it obviously, but it was kind of some anxiety about how your family would perceive you, Methodist family, but she did it anyway. Hopefully I got it.
Yep. And we're certainly glad that you did. For those of you who don't know, Julie is our choir director and has been directing our choir for 50 years. And we are so grateful. I'll close with this one. Courage is the action of showing up every day with a vision for a better world and doing what you can to move that forward. Kind of pulled it all together. The action of showing up every day with a vision for a better world and doing what you can to move it forward. And just know that it isn't necessarily these big things. You know, you don't need to get arrested. You can, but you don't need to. You can do all of the different ways that you heard here, you know, talking to neighbors, speaking your truth, living from your boundaries, living from your truth, knowing who and whose you are. So thanks for this, Tony. Thanks for this service, all of you. We're going to go ahead and close. I think we're going to just go ahead and... But I do want to quote, as I did last time, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a German Lutheran minister, who was part of what were called the confessing churches during Nazi Germany. And he became a martyr. These are his words. We are not to simply bandage the wounds of victims beneath the wheels of injustice. We are to drive a spoke into the wheel itself. Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. We will not be held guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. So our closing is our chalice extinguishing. And we don't have, we're going to hold up this candle because this is what we have. But just a minute, it's a good flame. I like that it moves. So this is by Naomi King. How shall we begin to live out our free faith? And the response is, nurture this precious light. You can join us when we say that. Yeah.
When we do, beacons of freedom, creating a safe place to rest, to explore, and innovate.
Nurture this precious light. How we keep this life of truth and justice affects how and whether we are transforming inequity through witness and action. Nurture this precious light.
As we nurture this precious light together, we become a light of hope, turning isolation into community, anguish into peace, sorrow into joy.
Nurture this precious light.
As we do, our faith burns a steady flame of innovation, banishing illusion, creating a new and renewing way together.
Nurture this precious light.
With our living connections, with our glowing stories, with our flame of freedom moving hand in hand, we
Nurture this precious light.
Together we turn this world from bleak to bright, one flame, one fire, one light at a time.
Nurture this precious light.
It's been wonderful to be with you this morning. That was our chalice extinguishing, and it was our benediction. And we're going to close with this little light of mine. If you're able, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. And Tony's going to lead.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Go, beloveds, and let your light shine.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like the one I've